let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that's honestly one of the most powerful parts of being a leader, but it gets overlooked all the time, and that's building real, genuine trust. A lot of this thinking is inspired by the work of management guru Fredman Malik, and we're going to break down how trust isn't about just being nice or having charisma. It's about one, very clear, very decisive action. So I want you to picture this. Think about the last big meeting you had with your team. Okay, now, picture what happens in the hallway the second you leave. You know what I'm talking about, right? That's when the real meeting starts. That's when your team finally says what they really think, all the stuff they should have said to you. If that sounds familiar, well, we've got a problem.
And that right there, that's the whole issue. That conversation in the hallway, it's a huge red flag. It means your team doesn't feel psychologically safe enough to be honest with you. Plain and simple. It means they don't trust you with the truth.
But here's the good news. There's a way to completely change that dynamic. And it all comes down to one simple, almost shockingly straightforward rule. Seriously, it's a principle that just flips the whole traditional idea of management on its head. And it builds a culture where people take responsibility instead of living in fear. And this is it. This is the rule in all its simplicity. When my team makes a mistake, it's my mistake. Publicly. I own it. It was my fault for not leading well enough or for not having the right process in place. But when my team succeeds, that's their success. All of it. I celebrate them, not myself. I mean, think about it. Any manager who actually lives by this, they're going to earn their team's trust, no question. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just about taking the blame. It's way deeper than that. It's a total shift in how you see your role. It's about recognizing that as the leader, you are responsible for the entire system your team works in. So any mistakes they make, they're really just a reflection of that system you created. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do you put this big rule into practice every single day? Well, it breaks down into three core pillars. We're actually using the original Serbo-Croatian terms here. They were inspired by the work of the famous management consultant W. Edwards Deming, and they translate into these really simple, really powerful actions that bring this whole philosophy to life. So, here are the three pillars. First, slusham, which means I listen. Second, pozdravljam, or I praise. And third, uklanjam splitkache, which means I remove schemers. Let's break down what each one of these really looks like. All right, pillar one, slusham. This just means you listen without getting defensive. Think about it. When someone on your team brings you some criticism or points out a problem, what's your first instinct? It's probably to explain yourself, right? To justify why things are the way they are. You have to fight that urge. Because if you offer a counterargument to every single critique, you're basically training your team that it's useless to speak up. And eventually, they'll just stop. Pillar two is pozdravljam, and this is all about praise. Look, when you as the manager get praised for something your team did, your job is to be like a channel, a conduit. You take that praise and you pass it directly on to the people who actually earned it. And you do it by name. If you just soak it all up yourself, the team sees that. They know the credit isn't really for them, it's for you. And a third pillar, uklenjam splitkache. This one is about your duty to protect your team. If you have a toxic person on the team, a gossiper, a schemer, someone who's just undermining the whole culture, that is your problem to solve. It is not the team's job to handle that. It's on you to get that negative influence out of there. Okay, so now let's see how all of this comes together when it counts the most. That moment when a mistake actually happens. Because this is the real test for any leader. It's pretty easy to be a great leader when everything's going smoothly. But real, solid, unshakable trust, that stuff is forged in the fire when things go wrong. How you react in that moment of failure, that's what defines your entire relationship with your team. So, a mistake happens. Imagine standing up in front of your whole team and saying these exact words. This statement, right here, it immediately changes everything. It shifts the focus away from who did this and puts it on the system. It basically tells the person who messed up, hey, you were just working with the tools I gave you. The process failed you, you didn't fail the process. And the payoff for doing this, it's huge. You can almost feel the relief wash over the room. A manager who does this, who steps up, takes responsibility, and shields their team from blame, they build a kind of loyalty and trust that you just can't buy. You have to earn it in these moments. So, where do you start? What's the one thing you can do right now to start building this kind of culture? How do you actually shift away from that culture of blame and toward a culture of learning? It's simple. The very next time something goes wrong on your team, I want you to resist that gut reaction, that deep, ingrained instinct to ask, whose fault is this? That question gets you nowhere. All it does is create fear and make people defensive. Instead, ask this question. Reframe the whole thing. Don't see it as a person's failure. See it as a system's failure. This question is so much more powerful. It invites everybody to solve the problem together instead of just pointing fingers. It turns a mistake into a genuine opportunity for everyone to get better.
And here's the most important part. You have to do this out loud with your whole team listening. You make this shift in thinking a public thing, a shared experience. That transparency, that collective focus on the process instead of the person, that is the real beginning of trust.